And we're out here first week of June because you have to plant your buckwheat. Now this is a system that Jeff Sturgis, he's a Michigander, I'm from Michigan, so that's why I probably adopt a lot of his methods when you're planting buckwheat first week of June. And it's important just to back it up 8 weeks from when you plant your food plots. We plant our food plots right around September 1st. So, and this soil's not very good, so we need a little bit more time. But you want to do 8 weeks before you're planting your food plot, so that gives that buckwheat enough time to get waist high where you can crush it down. And you crush it down, you actually plant it. You plant whatever you're planting first, then you crush it down, and that holds moisture, it shades the seed, which maintains the moisture, and it's just a terrific formula. Not to mention the buckwheat, it rejuvenates the soil. And that buckwheat will decompose, it'll go into the soil, it'll give it nutrients. But I want to mention something very important, is if you don't have thousands of dollars to put into farming equipment, like a lot of us, buy yourself a drag behind cultivator. For 200 bucks, you can get it delivered to your house in 2 days. I'll put a link down in the description. I've owned mine for 5 years. It's amazing. It's one of these tools that you will probably say it's the best $200 you've ever spent. You know, these food plots, I went with the John Deere 100 series small tractor because it mows my lawn. It tows and drags my wood splitter around, my cultivator, my dethatcher, my leaf collector. I even pull water with this thing. You can make these terrific food plots with a small riding lawnmower. I'll put a video up in the corner to show you a terrific clover food plot that I did years ago. But why we don't do clover anymore is because when you're hunting deer, it's usually cold. It's October. With clover, when it gets too cold or even when it gets too warm, it goes dormant. It stops growing, and we're hunting deer in cold temperatures. And when all that green dies back and gets brown, they're gonna, like a magnet, they're gonna be drawn to these green fields. And if you're planting stuff that will mature right around the time when they need that food, when the food is scarce, they will come to your property as long as you're not standing out there waving at them or going out there every night and hunting and putting your scent down, letting them know that you're there. You know, run your trail cameras. Find out once the good deer are coming through. If you've seen some really good deer the previous year, show up on those same days. Usually deer are creatures of pattern. They're gonna show up around the same time in the same place every year. So if you're ready to get into some deer hunting, it's time to plant some food plots. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna use a drag behind cultivator that I got off Amazon, and it's an amazing tool, but I wanna show you how to hook it up because today we have to tear up the ground. I should mention that I've sprayed this field 3 times in the last month and a half. Every 2 weeks I was spraying it. I sprayed at dusk because we have an apiary here. I actually had to break off just now because we had a swarm in the tree and I had to go collect a swarm of bees. And then I came back. I probably have sweat all over my shirt still, but I had to get those bees. That's because that's $200 in bees right there. So if you're interested in that, check out Bobby's Bees. But what we're doing today is there's still some like rat grass left, that stemmy grass, and glyphosate, you know, it's managed to kill about 90% of all the clover and grass. And we're just gonna tear this up with the cultivator, and the buckwheat's really gonna take. We're gonna blanket this entire area with buckwheat, and we're gonna let it grow for 2 months. Then we're gonna come back and overseed it with the crop we want, crush it, spray it with glyphosate. Yes, you can spray Roundup right over seed. It's a post-emergent. It sprays and kills on contact. It's not going to affect the seed. So go ahead and spray and kill. And that way you get a good application. It's going to get good seed to soil contact, and you don't have to worry about it getting choked out by other vegetation. So it's good to always throw your seed down and then spray one last time. And again, I spray at night because I don't want a pesticide die-off with all my hives. Usually at the end of the night, the bees are back to their hive. Not as many foragers are out doing their job. So I want to show you the cultivator. Here we go. Okay, so this is our cultivator. You can buy this right off Amazon, like I said, and they'll send you, I mean, this is pretty heavy duty. This is not some thin metal, but it's really important that you hook it up like this. If you hook it up on the bottom bracket, the way that this is going to be curved up, these hooks are not going to cut into the ground, the soil, the way you want to. It's really going to be tore up if you bolt it just like this. It keeps it flat and it helps it dig in. Now from time to time you may have to tighten these up. Maybe once every 2 years you may have to tighten these up. But these are still pretty solid. I just managed to see that this one was turned a little bit. So I brought my crescent wrench out and I'm going to tighten that bolt up. But in most cases, you don't really have to tighten any of this up. This is super sturdy, tough, built steel. I actually put it on with a nut, and that keeps it on because from time to time, this thing will bounce around if, say, you hit an underground vine or a root. I mean, this thing may even stop you and break the root and then keep going because, like I said, this thing is tough. But the one thing to look out for, too, is if you go back and forth, your tires will get so muddy that they may, in fact, you may lose your traction. So just know this cultivator does such a good job. You can't really go mud bogging, so it's only 1 or 2 passes. Or if you want to do more passes, put your chains on. So we're all done. We cultivated, and then we planted, we fertilized, and then we rolled. We used the roller, which you also can get at TSC, Farm and Fleet, or even on Amazon. I'll leave a link down in the description below. And the roller really makes for good seed to soil contact. Now the cultivator isn't even necessary. The roller isn't even necessary. You really can just glyphosate, throw buckwheat down on the ground, and you should get germination. Buckwheat is a really easy thing to grow as long as you use glyphosate or clear the ground of vegetation so it doesn't have as much competition. But that's it. So once it's supposed to rain, we waited until there was a 2 to 3 day rain forecast. This is the first week of June. It's going to rain for the next 3 days. It actually rained a little bit today. The soil's a little soft right now, which was good. I think it helped us tear up the ground a little bit. So if you guys have any questions or comments about this food plot, please leave it below. But again, it's important to start it right around June, mid-June. Let your buckwheat grow for 6 to 8 weeks. Then walk through and plant whatever you want to plant. Knock down the vegetation, knock down the buckwheat, let it fold over, spray it again. You're not going to ruin the seed. And then that buckwheat will decompose and put nutrients into the soil. It'll shade your seed, it'll hold moisture, and that will help with germination, and you should have a really good food plot. So I hope this helps somebody out there. I hope you grow a great food plot and have an awesome deer season and kill a big deer this year. We'll see you on the next video.